What's up, everyone? It is bonus pod time. It is going to be me and Daniel just talking bullshit on Sunday night. So you're going to hear it on Monday. And that'll be April 6th for you, April 5th for us now. If you want to support the podcast, please like, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to go the extra mile, go to patreon.com/185 miles south and become a monthly contributor. They are the people that keep the podcast alive. Hit the fucking music.
"185 Miles South", a hardcore punk rock podcast.
So anyway, this is a bonus pod just because I'm bored as fuck and spent a lot of time at home, so I called Daniel and we're just going to go through some questions that I tossed out on Instagram or I just said, does anyone want to ask me anything on Instagram or Facebook or those things, and try to go through without missing anything, and let's see if we do. All right, so this is all out of order. Rivers of Fire said a 10,000 strong interview with Milo. Demo is sick. Okay, I remember the band 10,000 Strong. Shout out Beavis, supporter of the podcast. That demo is fucking sick. And
Circle Pitter of the Gods.
Circle Pitter of the Gods. You know, some people are using the term God tier now. He God tier Circle Pitter.
Without a doubt.
Shout out Beavis, a.k.a. Greg It Back. And this was a cool band that he did with Milo, an hardcore band in the early 2000s. And, yeah, I don't remember much about it, but there, like, this demo, he did have a part where he went, like, full fucking Mike Muir style. And was, like the, why won't my mom give me a Pepsi? You know, like that shit. I can't remember what he was ranting about, but it was something like that. And we're just like, this is the fucking illest. The fact that this dude like could like pull off like a rant like that on a punk song like 17 years later. So definitely.
Did he do the laugh?
No, he did not pull off the Greg laugh. But anyway, respect to the 10,000 Strong demo. I remember, motherfucker. You're not gonna hit me with some obscure shit. That's why.
That's a good name too.
Yeah, that is a good ass name, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Next, by Enjoy Hot Cheetos. Women in hardcore. How do we affect this male dominate scene? Daniel.
I just think you look at it like it's not male dominated, and you just participate and do whatever you want. And if you do come across any closed doors or anybody being shitty, speak about it and like let it be known, because I think that, you know, with so many female fronted bands lately, I think it's amazing, or not even fronted, just female participated bands, and it's a shame to even think of it as female fronted or female engaged bands. It should just be bands, and I think that's the way things are being looked at now, which is awesome. I'm so psyched to see hardcore have shifted a lot more from the customary, you know, you had a few girls participating, but then some people would like laugh at girls participating, which was just absolute horseshit. And then on top of it, you would have, you know, newer girls coming into the scene and seeing like other girls stand to the side, and then, oh, well, I suppose I'm supposed to do that. You know, like, fuck it. Just be a person and do whatever you want is my, you know, and if you do find, you know, you're being like, there's a patriarchy within hardcore, call it out, burn it down, and write songs about it.
Yeah, I mean, fully, right? Call it out.
Yeah.
Call it out if you see it. I think that's great. And shout out to Sasha. Old school.
Oh, yeah.
X-Paw is the fucking woe man.
Yeah, and she showed, I'm here for me to participate in this community, and no one's going to dictate the way that I can participate in this. She just went for whatever she wanted to do. Awesome.
Yeah, she rules. I remember one of the first times I hung out with her, I was living in Nard, and it was that 98 like Madball Earth Crisis tour. And I drove to her pad in Huntington Beach. And she drove from Huntington to for us to watch it at the Soma side stage. And she had a broken arm, and we were taking that toll road that connects what does it connect? Like Costa Mesa. Yeah, connects like Costa Mesa to fucking whatever. And she's going like fucking 90 with one arm, just fucking cruising through the traffic. I was like, I'm such a fucking pussy. Like, Sasha's grown as fuck,
and that cast was being vigorously thrown about the pit that night.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So she's my idol, and shout out X-Paw. Let's see. Dave Hawk, Nardcore legend, thought that we should get Chris from RKL on the show. And I've been playing phone tag with Chris for months and months and months. And we're just figuring it out when we can do it. And that's it. He plays full-time with Lagwagon now. So they were really busy because they put out a new album, I think, at the end of last year. And so they're busy with that. But also, people are looking for a way to support full-time musicians right now, with the touring schedule kind of being brought to a halt with the COVID shit. And he actually teaches guitar lessons online. So if you want to learn guitar from the Do the Road, like those RKL songs and the plays in Lagwagon, you should Google Chris from RKL, and he'll teach you. If
you want to know how to solo,
he's a fucking rager, dude. So he will teach you how to play guitar. Look him up, and I'll get him soon, I promise. Next up, photographer Jason L.A. Maybe someone from the old school hardcore record stores. Salzer's, Doctor Strange, Headcount, Asian Man. Or a show about specific venues like Showcase or the High Women's Club. I think it's a great idea. I love talking about record stores. I'm still a record collector. And then also we just did a show. We did a show about our favorite venues. But you're right. Maybe we should take a little more time and dig into specific venues, especially some that were maybe more important to like the, like the Showcase Theater. Of course, you could do an entire episode on. I wouldn't be the one to do it, but I could have the right people on to assist me. But
we do like a Tales from the Showcase, and then have people from all different genres, 5 minutes of just tell me your Showcase story, and then just compile it like that or something.
Yeah. All I gotta say is when it comes to thinking about editing a show like that, it's so daunting time wise. To edit like different audio together. So if we do one long audio clip like this, it's pretty easy for me to like dump it in the computer, add an intro, toss it through some like mastering software, and then upload it. To do like lots of editing takes a shit ton of time. So consider smashing that fucking Patreon button.
Smash that Patreon button, and also to all those young tech involved youngsters out there listening to the pod and want to lend your time and helping with editing as an 185 Miles South internship, get in touch.
Yeah. I mean, I could always use some help. So, this is a one-man operation with the help of my best friends. So, anything ambitious like that is pretty gnarly. I'm working on some projects right now that I think you guys will enjoy in the future.
Do you know what would be a good showcase thing? Is getting an interview with Showcase.
Yeah.
The booker, the main booker and security dude, and and light. Basically did everything except for own it.
Yeah, you know what my first question is going to be? Do you remember the first time you saw the Whitecaps at the showcase, and did they play Get Beer?
Did he have the keg on his back?
All right, let's see. Cletus Asadi says Pride FC / Don Fry. Okay. We're talking about a thing that I used to be way, way into, which is old UFC and then going into Pride FC in Japan and then specifically Don Fry. I could talk about Don Fry, dude. He's one of the greatest fighters of all time. And one of the first guys to mix styles. He had good boxing along with good wrestling. And
did he come to the ring as a cowboy with a mustache? Is that Don Fry?
Yeah, he's very Burt Reynolds-y.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he fucked shit up at UFC 8 and then also at Ultimate 96. Won both tournaments. So anytime you're winning tournaments where you're winning multiple fights in a night, you're a legend. Also, like in the early 2000s with some editing software, I used to be like, nerding out, and I would make highlight videos. And I made this Don Fry highlight, and I sent it to him, and he was super stoked on it. And his wife, his wife at the time actually sent me a couple of T-shirts and Don Fry autographed and wrote like a thank you note, like on an 8x10, and sent it to me.
Oh,
so,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I got
it. Did he ever beat up the giant dude carrying the crucifix?
Chemo? He never fought Chemo.
Yeah.
He never fought Chemo. But Don Fry, he was in some legendary fights, and he's one of my favorites of all time. And I'll post.
Did he fight Bob Sapp?
He did not fight Bob Sapp, and he probably should have, because he was a huge star in New Japan and also in Pride, and then he fought in K1. When he fought in K1, like one of the biggest shows ever was like the New Year's Eve show. It was like a K1 Pride together, and I think it was the year 2000. And he fought Jerome LeBanner and got fucked up, because he wasn't on that level of kickboxing. He really needs to mix his wrestling, and then also by that time he was his body was a little more broken down. He wasn't really in his prime anymore. So, but I have that thank you note like framed and on my wall, so I'll take a photo of it and post it for you, Cletus. How about that? Now, this one is fully for Daniel, because I am not a fashion guy at all. In fact, I am like caked in cat hair and lint just from being a COVID scumbag.
I think we all are right now.
No, you still clean as a motherfucker. You don't step 2 feet away from a lint roller. You're repping the San Diego Clean Core real good. This is from Mike.jjj. He asks, top, best / worst shirt designs of all time. Daniel, you take it.
Whew. If I was going to say my very top like shirt designs in hardcore, like legendary ones that come to mind, the majority of them, like that from one band, would be Uniform Choice. Like all of the UC merch from back then was just perfect, bold, bright, like repeat, as well as with the pictures, it just, everything was clean, and it made you even want to wear a white shirt. Now, worse.
Let me say on the good, and also I love the band Dillinger Force so much, and they did like a UC knockoff, and it was D4, and then instead of Straight and Alert, it was just music is none of my business over and over, and that's so good. Love it. It for them to take like a knockoff shirt and to have it be a shirt that summed up like what their band was all about. I mean, they knocked it out of the fucking park. So on to worst. It's basically any Control shirt pre 2003.
Yeah, I mean, like hey, here's an XL black shirt, and the in control is tiny, right between, like, not even between your nipples, like in between your diaphragm. It's like that big, and you're like, are you wearing an in control shirt? It's not. You got to be right up on it with the microscope.
That's the thing that makes like those older iconic shirts so good, is because the if you talk about a good topic for hardcore, is we should have like a modern day screen printer on to talk. Like, I love when we did I did like the Roger Camaro podcast, which was also partially a Retaliate podcast, and then also the Retaliate podcast. Roger does such a good job about talking about how the technology of recording evolved between all the different Retaliate records. And it would be very interesting to have a screen printer talk about like how the technology evolved, because it was so limited back, like even in the early 2000s, of like kind of what you could do on a budget, like size wise. And the fact that all these bands, like, in the 80s and shit did like iconic shirts is amazing, because now you can do whatever the fuck you want to do. You know what I mean? You do all over prints and all that shit.
Well, the thing that's interesting, like going back to talking about around 99 to 2003, the To Die For stuff was like the hottest look for a lot of, the SoCal light hardcore bands. And now it looks, I won't say dated, it looks of its time. And would be interesting to get Jason on, who did all that stuff, because he went from like self-screening stuff to getting his own press, and then making actual designs that sold to hardcore kids that weren't even related to them,
Well, and then back into the MMA tie-in with like Don Fry and shit. Like, do you remember how like popular like those Affliction shirts were?
Yeah.
Well, because it was one step up from being like total. It was a different version of like the bro shirt. Like,
it's the total bro shirt.
But
and you know what?
But the bro shirt went from a different type of bro shirt to that type of bro shirt. It was a total page turn. Well,
do you want to know another hardcore tie-in to Affliction? Is Pat Dubar's brother was one of the main people behind Affliction.
Oh, and he works there right now.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Fleur-de-lis on everything. Fleur-de-lis everywhere. When I think of like a bad shirt design, that's kind of a classic now, is back when Sick of It All came around, when they toured with Rancid in, was it 94? In 94, I think. Bands at that time would only bring XL shirts, no matter what size you were. You're like, can I get an XL? Like, that's kind of it. But they had this one giant, it was a green shirt with a giant 8-ball on it, like a Sick of It All 8-ball. And at the time, I didn't like it then. And then I hated it, like, after a while, like, thinking, oh, that's so shitty. And now it's so, like, almost like so shitty that it's amazing now, So
yeah, because it's like a shirt you get from like the 5 shirts for $10 store.
Yeah. But at the time it was like, I don't know, like when hardcore tried to do graffiti, tried to latch into that. Not that hardcore hasn't always had graffiti in it; it always has. But do you know what I mean? It was when it was excessive, when it looked like tribal or something.
Yeah. Do you remember Homies? Like the little action figures? And then like I remember we had this spot in Nard called the T-shirt Warehouse. And it was one of those like $5 for $10 stores, and they had a shit ton of Homie shirts that only had the print on the back. It was like all the Homies are on the back, and then there was nothing on the front. And so like I just went and bought like 50 of them, and then we did like an in control graffiti font on the front.
Yeah.
Sick. That was for when we
played. If you've got one of those out there, it's one of 50.
Yeah, something like that. We that was for when we played Chain Reaction with H2O, I think. That was a killer show. This is from the real Jason Rules on Instagram, and he posts lots of cool videos. So everyone should follow the real Jason Rules on Instagram. He says,
"What's up with the fake Jason Rules? What's he peddling?"
I don't know, dude. That's some fucking fugazi ass shit. But he asks, "Are you ever going to interview Bongmaster John, aka Crazy John?" He's trying to catch me with some obscure Nard Ventura dude shit. And the answer is no. Because how am I going to stretch that interview out? But Jason, I'll tell you this. If you go do an interview with Bongmaster John, a.k.a. Crazy John, and it's good, I'll post it on the pod as a bonus Patreon pod.
Or on the back end of, like, after, episode 1 and Stu do their thing, just, well, here's something else from
from Bongmaster John, aka Crazy John. I'll tell you what. After I interview Ian McKay, we'll put it on the tail end of his interview.
Well, the Ian McKay interview would not be, like, impossible to do.
No, I know, except that we're a California podcast, so
yeah.
At least,
well, you could ask him about
this year.
California touring.
Sure, I could ask him about the time that Rob Moran heckled him.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
More punishment of Rob on the pod, please.
This year we're staying in California. Next year we're gonna go West Coast just so I can do Poison Idea, and then we'll open it up. We'll see. I got a plan, guys. Actually, I'm probably gonna quit in a month. So fuck. All right, let's see.
I want to know how one goes from being just a bong user to a bong master. That would be a good question for John.
It's probably all technique on the carb,
Yeah.
It's like,
or if there's like yoga involved, or
I think you gotta have that light touch on the carb, Anyway, moving on to Rivers of Fire on Instagram. Zack, any luck with Chewy? And he added him, so extra pressure. Oxnard legend. Maybe I don't know about him. He's got to tell me he's a legend. As in, have you tried to interview Chewy? I'm assuming this is Chewy, the legendary artist of Oxnard, and I would put him in the echelon of the Hernandez brothers as well as Brian Walsby. And no, I haven't thought about interviewing Chewy. When it comes to interviewing people, like I try to be able to have like a lot of information on someone because I want everyone to succeed. The people that I interview, I want them to come off good and do well and have people be interested in the interview. And maybe it's a flaw of like what I'm capable of right now, but I worry about going into an interview with just someone that I don't have enough material on to be able to know I can get a solid 45 minutes out of. So someone like Chewy that's like, yeah, it's very interesting, like, because he does great iconic artwork. I don't know the right questions to ask because I'm not an artist. Like I can't, like I'm a guy that like I get stoked when I can like draw the little 3-dimensional square. Like it feels good every time I connect the fucking lines. I'm like, oh shit.
What do you mean you're not an artist? Like the artwork to the In Control tour press?
Exactly. Well, that's a perfect example. Like it's a total dick wave that I knew how to do, like the little 3-dimensional road, like hooking around the mountain. But like
who drew IC for that shirt that had the pictures of you guys?
I have no idea what shirt you're talking about.
There was a photo of you, Dave, Tony, and Ryan.
I think that it was
then drawn into a picture.
Vaguely remember, but I bet you anything it was Ernie from Life's Halt.
Okay.
Yeah. Who is a great artist.
And apparently goes into Timeless all the time because he's their UPS driver, so I need to catch him.
I know. I wish you could reconnect with him. I need to get him too. I love Life's Halt, and then Felix was actually like in a really cool band in Seattle for a while too.
Yeah.
So
Well, going back to the Chewy thing, if Rivers of Fire has a lot of info about Chewy, he can hit you with the pre-production and say, "Oh, this, and this." And if you think there's enough there, then maybe you can chase it down. Because like when we think of the the four pillars of hip hop, graffiti, breaking, scratching, DJing and MCing, I feel like hardcore has, the artwork and stuff is definitely a pillar and just sometimes doesn't get enough shine as it should.
Yeah, and definitely like underpaid people, right? Like think about people that don't get taken care of for their craft as people that do art for hardcore.
Art and photography.
Yeah, photography. Yeah, definitely. These are big unspoken heroes. So let's take it.
But now there's been a bit too much of an explosion of photographers.
Yeah, but there's some people that they like Dan Raw and Amy Carla. They are always there helping out Retaliate. So my favorite photographers, and Fred Hammer.
Yeah, and Dave Mandel.
And
Veronica, she's repping too. But Dan Raw's, God, he's been doing amazing photographs forever. Brandon Tridle from San Diego as well. Very good.
Yeah, and a beautiful beard. It's like it's pretty fucked up to like be that handsome and then be able to pull off a nice beard. Like you don't need it, stupid. That's fucked. Should shout out to Felix's band in Seattle was called Big Crux. You guys should look it up. Very, very cool band. And so it's cool when people, from our generation of hardcore branch out and do other stuff and keep it going. So there's that. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next. Punk from a Black Hole says, get someone from the Grimm Band on. And I responded to him. I emailed Tim Grimm on his Facebook probably... He was early, so probably like 5 months ago. They never got back to me, so fuck it. If the Grimm wants to be on the podcast, they can hit me up. Otherwise, whatever. All right, next up from the lovely Daisy of San Francisco. What's the Italian neighborhood, Daniel?
North Beach?
Yeah, from North Beach. What's up, Daisy? Highlight and hardcore punk rock activism. Now, Daniel, you take that one.
That's a very big responsibility.
I know okay. I said, ask us a question, Daisy. The fuck, put us on the spot like that. Highlight. That's a full fucking documentary. Like, you want me to do research?
I think what happens really well within hardcore is the fact that going on what you said in the films podcast a bit, is hardcore was that next step from punk to where it was like, let's get down to the brass tacks, let's cancel all the bullshit, let's get serious here. And that's kind of what hardcore is. It's so whether someone's hardcore and they become politically active, they throw their whole into it, and they get really down to brass tacks and go after something, like with all the animal rights stuff. Like people are, just the amount of people that have gone vegetarian or vegan because they have been influenced by a hardcore band is massive. So the activism that happens is fantastic, but we live in a social media age now to where you can say something for a pat on the back, and it's only the real ones who are actually doing it all the time. Like people at the Che Cafe, they're volunteering their time and they're doing it all for political things as well as us to have a good time at music. you know. So I feel like hardcore gives you the step up to be able to bring anything, anything to the table. And, if you're passionate about it, you'll infect others to be passionate about something. And even if they don't agree with you, they'll at least listen to you, I would hope.
Yeah, I would say like if we're talking about hardcore and activism, the glory of hardcore is that if you're on board, there's a little bit of like a secret handshake that you're like in this scene and you kind of like you're relatable to other people, and the amount of different types of people that you can come across, you have something in common with them. And that's something that is very outside of the box in how the world is. The fact that like I can be completely different from someone, but because we like the same type of music, we have this like serious bond where we understand a part of each other. And the fact that you understand this part of each other that is so like serious to who you are, you're going to be open-minded to what the other person says. And like, this can be really detrimental at times. Like how many times, like, I mean, I don't know, this is fucking ridiculous, but like, you ever have the fence walker fucking white power guy? He's always like talking to you, like, and he's always got like, yeah, my girlfriend though, she's like half Mexican, dude. I'm not really white power. It's like, go fuck yourself. Like he thinks he has a in on you. You know what I mean? But the positive side of that is that if you're talking to someone who like in real life would be like, someone completely different than you, the fact that you both love negative approach, like one guy is like this, like he's a fucking, I don't know, he's like a vegetarian. Like the other guy might be like a little open to it, right? Like, let's go get some Thai food, dude. Fucking yellow curry is fucking delicious. Let's get with tofu, oh, maybe, let's go eat, let's go eat yellow curry tofu and talk about negative approach.
Well, just think about it this way. Like in shows, a lot of the times there'll be the band set up for merch, and then there'll be somebody set up with, I don't know, Food Not Bombs or this or that. And they have equal space given to them at good hardcore shows to where if you want to go up and discuss things with them or take some literature or anything like that, there's a place for it. So I don't know if the person writing in wants us to wishes people were more politically active and stuff. And obviously, in a world, but sometimes the shows are where we go to get away from everything else as well, so it's hard to not be, open-minded. Like everyone who walks, not everyone who walks in it, but most people who walk in a hardcore show are very open-minded and could be very, strong on an activist front.
I think, Daniel, I think that's the best way to put it. I've been trying to like think about how to say this because like there is a lot of activism in punk and hardcore, and honestly, like we're not the ones that talk about it. And I think sometimes like expertise is knowing when to like say like this isn't my lane, and it's not. But I would say that like the glory of punk and hardcore is that like you have such a mishmash of people of all different like backgrounds and types of people, and they're coming together like for a common thing that like just that really that you agree on something. Like people are open-minded because you see people as humans. It's like I like this person, and so like even if he has some ideas that I'm a little like I don't know about them, like I'm gonna be a little more open-minded to it. That's all.
Yeah.
Like where everything now is so politicized, right? It's like you're like this guy is like on this side and I'm on this side, and so like fuck that guy and fuck this guy, and there's a little more and like
cancel culture and everything.
There's a little more
very easy.
There's a little more giving him the benefit of the doubt. In hardcore, just because you do have a common bond. We all love terror. Shit.
Yeah, but the one thing I will say, like, everybody in bands and stuff also, when they write lyrics, and if they write lyrics about something political or something social, that is a form of activism in its own right too. You know, it's putting a point of view across and hopefully rallying people to the right side of, and hopefully the lyrics are on the right side of social justice.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, like,
we're always calling out for more non-racist songs. You know, like,
yeah,
you think that's a tired thing? No, it's not been said enough. It needs to be said every day.
Yes, the fact that anyone would say like, "Oh, there's like enough non-racist songs like that shit's played out," like, fuck you, dude. There needs like every band should have one, right? And like, and same thing with the unity songs. Like, these are the common things that we like believe in, you know, like, like I it exhausts me to an end to the idea that like we wouldn't want to have more unity songs or more anti-racist songs. Like, what the fuck? And that is political, and I think that is activism. Like, even though some things like they should go unsaid, like, oh, you shouldn't be racist, sexist, homophobic. Like, no, they actually need to be said, because some people are getting drawn in different fucked up directions. And if semi-influential people can reassure them that, no, you should be anti-racist, then everyone should fucking say it. Like, why is that so hard? You know?
Yeah.
What the fuck, people? You know?
And be prepared to put your money where your mouth is when it does rise up, you know?
Yeah. But I mean, like,
don't go quietly into the night.
But do what you can also, right? Like, even if you're like a timid guy that's gonna like hug the walls, when you have your time that you're comfortable to talk about things in the right way to your people, right? Like, live a righteous lifestyle that is like not fucking hateful. Jesus Christ. Like, there's so much negativity in the world that the fact that people don't like latch on to people trying to do like little like acts of righteousness fucking drives me crazy. You know, like the all or nothing cancel culture is fucking crazy.
Yeah, there's only black and white now. There's no gray. There's nothing. Like, you can't look at something and see the good intention. You go for the fact that they used like out of date nomenclature or something like that, and you instantly trash them. Now you've created an enemy instead of an ally. If you go to them and say, hey, like, what you're saying is really cool, but it's this, this, and this, you know, and maybe think about it in this way, and you do that instead of like making a comment of like, fuck this person, oh, okay, boomer, or whatever, you know? There's a way to be inclusive and there's a way to be exclusive. And I feel a lot of the people of today want to just blast someone for the social media pat on the back.
No, exactly. Like, if you're somewhere like, if you're going to a show somewhere like the Shea Cafe, you know, you're already like on the righteous side, you know, like, you know, and so for there to be like people wanting to create like a hierarchy of like, I'm more righteous than you, like, go fuck yourself, dude. The problem is not like, I had to write a song about it recently. Like, the problem is not within these four walls. Fight the real enemy, you know? Shout out to business, you know?
But I think that's what, you know, going back to the first 18 minutes of this podcast, the thing that's going to hold back the left all the time is being torn down by itself from the inside instead of uniting to fight the real enemy.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. But Jesus.
Yeah.
Get it together. Get it together, people. God damn it, Daisy. What the fuck? And then she comes up with the equally vague. The future of hardcore punk rock. It's up to the kids. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
it's a young person's game.
I'm 40. Daniel, you 42?
43.
43. So it's not up to us. You know, with hardcore more than
Wait.
hardcore more than,
Yeah, sorry.
hardcore more than anything is like your influences, who got you into it, and like, you know, what you took from it, right? And all you can do is like do your part and hopefully like leave something good behind, right? Like kind of like how people want to live their lives, right? You want to like leave a legacy to your children or whatever the fuck. Well, I'm not that interested in that, but I did my piece, and you know, I had my say at one point, and I still am, and I hope that people give
Well,
something from it. And
I think what's incredible is that you're giving a voice to a lot of stuff that has been forgotten to be brought up, to be appreciated by hardcore youth of today. And I think, you know, that is part of a future of hardcore and punk, is the historian factor within. It's our own history, so we've got to make sure that we record it. And then people, you know, then the youth sets the, you know, what they want to do with the movement and the genre, because it's not for older people to dictate, but it is for us, young and old, to make sure that there's a rich tapestry of this culture that is remembered.
right, and then the important thing of what you're saying right there too is that the people of us that like we're past our prime in the genre, possibly. I mean, that's like debatable, right? But like the people documenting and telling the story aren't the fucking people that are shitting on it. Like, fuck Stephen Blush and people that say like hardcore died in '86. He's not the motherfucker to tell the story. Fuck you, dude. Sell your book, whatever. You know, like.
And do that great research and then hand it off to someone who loves it.
Right, because he was still, what a fraud, dude. Like, he was still like selling his book at hardcore shows in like the early 2000s. So he didn't believe that shit died because he was still tracking down, hey, what's still going on? Gonna sell my book there, you know? Like,
yeah.
So, like, it's important that people, like, I mean, I'm inspired by the other people like doing this format. I can only speak on this format. But like, you know, the guys like Toby H2O, I mean, his podcast is inspiring. Like he's loving talking to his friends, right? And he's laying down like some real good shit. And his Rolodex is fucking impressive as fuck. Every week, you know, he's got on some like legend. And so for him, for someone like Toby from H2O to be documenting and telling the story of hardcore, that's fucking righteous. He lived it. He lived it. And he lives it. He like still to this day, it influences every piece of his life probably. You know, I don't know the guy, but I mean, I got to assume, hopefully I'm assuming in a good way. But like, that's a guy I'm comfortable like telling the story, you know?
Well, there's a thing, like, you know, yeah, there's a lot of access and things like that. And some of it may be out of self-interest. Some of it may not be. You know, it is what it is. But as long as there is more of the culture being delivered to being accessible to, you know, when Oh My Dead Body was a thing, we were getting letters from kids in Indonesia and stuff like, can you send out this and this, because we don't get anything. Like, but now with the internet and people from all over the world can plug in and hear, you know, to learn about, you know, to use you as an example, to learn about Oxnard and Southern California hardcore, you know, I just think it's cool. And I just hope the way that there were many fanzine producers through the, you know, 80s and 90s, I hope there's lots of people that are willing to do that in going back as well as doing things forward, because I think that is the future is unwritten, but the past needs to be remembered.
Yeah, and I think the curators of it are important. You know, that like the people pick, you know, good people and people who can tell the story in a righteous way. You know?
Yeah.
So that's all. I gotta pee, Daniel. I'm gonna stop recording real quick.
Okay.
All right, we have Stooge 977. Oh, this shit is very of the hour. Um, why do I feel like when I go outside to do stuff at this present time, in parentheses the plague, that I like the fact there are not many people about? I think maybe I have a problem. I think maybe I hate humans. And then puts a bunch of sheep. I mean, I can relate to this. It's cool that there's less people out. But also, like, I've gone out, like, for very simple stuff. Like, there's actually a drive-through liquor store, like, right by my house where you drive your car through the middle of it. And so, like,
it's behind the mosque, right?
Yeah, I'm right by the mosque. And so, it's been pretty easy for me to... Actually, this is kind of funny. So, normal people just, like, make ice in their freezer and shit. And, like, I always did that. And then our whole, like, apartment complex had to get tented for, what are the...
Termites?
Yeah, termites. Right? Yeah. And then, like, so you can't... You know, obviously, like, your water is bad. Or, I don't know. I had to throw out my ice, and I needed ice that night, so I went and bought ice. And then I was like, oh, this is, like, really good. Like, this is, like, a luxury I want to pay for. So now I'm like hooked on, like, buying nice, like, good, fresh ice. Anyway, fucking... Yeah, it's just better in your cocktail, you know? So yeah, like, I'll just go out and, like, go get a bag of ice, and it's like mad motherfuckers are out on the street and shit. So I haven't gotten to experience what this dude is talking about so much, because when I go out, I'm just upset that there's so many people outside, because, you know, like, we don't know if we're, like, again, first 18 minutes of the pod, but, like, we got to believe in something, right? Like, that if we're locking it down, we're locking it down for a reason. And, like, we've been locked down now in California. We got, like, the notice, so we had to shut down non-essential businesses. Like, it was a little over 2 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
No, it was a little over 2 weeks ago, because tomorrow's Monday.
In SoCal, up here, it's been over 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's been just about 3 weeks, almost 3 weeks for you. It'll be in the middle of this week. It'll be 3 weeks, because I had a crew up there in Stanford, and it got put on them, like, in the middle of the week. I had them go up Sunday night, and I think that shit got put on them on, like, Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, but like, SF and Oakland were even before that, like, before Silicon Valley. It's crazy.
Word.
But anyway, yes, we're not arguing about the...
Yeah, so we've been locked down 2 weeks, like, this Monday, and the shit happened on... We had a lockdown. We got word on Thursday night, so then, like, Friday's off, and then... So whatever. Like, tomorrow's, like, 2 weeks plus one business day. And I just worry that all these motherfuckers aren't taking it seriously, and the shit's gonna get dragged out forever, which is gonna kill everything. You know, like, we really need to, like, lock down, have someone smarter than us figure it out, and, like, have that be it. You know what I mean?
The thing that's interesting about it is that we're getting different messaging every day, because they're learning about it more and more, and not necessarily from the federal government, because we've already talked about that they fucked it up. But like Gavin Newsom, someone I feel you can trust a lot more, was instantly in there with, like, we're shutting shit down because we're going to stem this right now. You know, he's got the initial word, and that's what you need, is someone of action to do that. And then when you see everyone outside, or people, like, coming up on your feed, like, I'm having a social distance party where I've had all my friends over. You're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, it drives you crazy. And, you know, I don't want to be anybody's cop, but I want people to fucking take this a bit more seriously than they have, so we don't have to be locked up in our own houses for months.
I know. I need this shit to, like, brush over so my fucking business can survive. You know, like, I need to brush over, because I've only been locked down for 2 weeks, and I'm going fucking crazy. You know, like, I want it to be over. Like, all I want to do is fucking go to fucking Baja and chill, you know? But, like, oh, God.
Well, that might be a long time.
I know it's going to be a long time.
Trump's going to use that in his racist rant as, like, we're closing that border forever.
Well, and they're partying in Playas like nothing was happening 2 Sundays ago. They're going to get fucked. Tijuana's been so fucked. Yeah, my friend Denora, shout out to Denora if you're listening. They barely had her start working from home last Monday, and she's a lawyer down there, like a real estate lawyer. So they're about 2 weeks behind us,
Yeah,
which is scary, you know.
it is. I mean, it's just, even if this is precautionary and it is, you know, maybe not as effective as they think it is in regards to flatten the curve, doing something is a lot better than just letting, well, we don't know what's going to happen, so just keep doing it. It's like, this is the medical advice. Follow medical advice, because this is a medical issue. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to his point about hating people, well, welcome to hardcore. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I just wish there was. Yeah, I wish there wasn't as many people around, and I wish I could go road trip somewhere and chill. But like, I don't know if I want this pandemic to be population control.
Yeah, well, I just think he's doing a thing like, well, now that I see a lot less of people, I feel more calm. Like, these are the things that have brought him to hardcore, is like, I need my own little tribe because the rest of society is driving me fucking crazy.
Yeah. Or also, like, maybe if you like being away from people, then you gotta, like, I feel that way a lot. That's the reason why I love Baja so much, is like, I like to go to like places that don't have as many people, and I like to chill and be able to be right by the ocean with just a book and a fucking little sniffer of tequila and chill. And you know, maybe the time that we're spending alone and the time that we're spending in isolation is a good time for people to reevaluate their lives and figure out a good balance for what they want out of the world, you know? Like, I think it's very therapeutic to, like, you know, if I'm not by the ocean, I like to go out to the desert and be like, I love like stargazing. You know, when you just look up and it's just like the whole sky is full of stars, and if you like look in one area for 5 minutes, like, you're gonna see a shooting star. Like, I love shit like that, and I think it's very important to like work hard. That's what we love to do. You know, I mean, find something you like to do and work hard for it. But then, like, take the time to go and chill and like decompress and do your thing, you know?
Yeah, and like you say, in this time where you have a lot of time to think about things by yourself, make plans for this guy who wrote in to, you know, spend his weekends going off in like hikes and whatnot, to be away from people, if that's what's truly like feeding his soul, you know?
Yeah, like, if you like to be away from people, then yeah, figure out a way. No matter what you do, figure out a way to like maybe go take a hike and go walk to a fucking swimming hole. You know, like, I think that I
like it. Hey, buddy, take a hike.
Yeah, take a hike, fool. No, but free fun is the best thing ever. And I remember on the first King Control tour, we were drunk, or we were we were drunk. We were fucking broke as fuck.
Yeah.
We were broke as fuck, and so we were just like, you know, we're gonna swim every fucking day because it's free and it's fun. And I think we swam for the first 8 days of tour. You know, so like,
and free shower.
Yeah, go find a swimming hole, jump in it, and like enjoy being away from people. So I think that's positive. Yeah. All right, let's see here. Blah 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 blah. Oh, here's one for you, Daniel. Is there comes from Matt_Ants. Is there a unique San Diego sound?
Oh, that is interesting. In regards to hardcore,
it's the struggle discography, right?
It's difficult to think, because there's pockets. Like, you could say there's a unique sound of eras. There's also a unique sound of locales. Like, North County was more on that, like, God, I keep saying like. Sorry, listener. I'm very sorry to the listeners.
No, we're a California podcast. We're unapologetic about saying like all the time.
But North County had more of that faster, blasty, crusty influence in a lot of the music. I would say Chula
and more recently, a little more of that the World of Pain moshcore sound.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think San Diego, the one thing that makes it so diverse, people wise, is what has made the sound so diverse throughout music. Because you've got, I would say, signpost bands that maybe influenced other bands around. But if you just look at, like, for example, I'm just going to say the year 2000 because I was very active in it in the year 2000. There was Us, Built to Last, but then there was Run for Your Fucking Life. There was The Locust. There was
We're in your face and we're a fucking straight edge band.
Yeah, and then there was Find 'Em and Kill 'Em. Like, try and put your finger on what their sound is. It's very hard to do. Like, and then there was Life or Death. So I wouldn't say there is a San Diego sound. I think there's more of a San Diego vibe in regards to being open to everybody else's stuff across the hardcore landscape.
It's so eclectic. It's so eclectic, and it's also very close to always having a lint roller nearby and looking suave.
Well, I mean, the Unbroken / Kids from the South and stuff in the 90s looked impeccable.
Well, and also the people that try to look like dirtbags still look good.
There's been, but the one thing I would say across all things San Diego would be the one thing that the scene throughout the years from the early 80s to now has been the tolerance of everybody else's sound, like to look into it and appreciate it for what it is, even if it's not that. If you're at the show, don't just be a dick and stand outside, like, make up numbers and, like, pay attention to the other bands because they're paying attention to yours, And I think that's something that...
Yes, it's an embrace of diversity. That even though there is inevitably there's going to be different scenes inside of any hardcore punk rock subculture, maybe the distance between them is just a little bit closer in San Diego.
Yeah. The San Diego bands sounded very differently from each other, but had the same people at the shows. Whereas when, you can attest to this too, like touring and stuff, there would be defined, like, in larger scenes, there would be defined subcultures of, I only mess with this kind of stuff, and I only mess with this kind of stuff, and I don't go to those other shows. Whereas in San Diego, I think lots of people have been open-minded and embraced the diversity that lives within.
Moving on, the mighty Dan Raw says he wants a Corey Williams episode, and I responded and said I've been trying to have Corey on for a while. He's one of my old friends, and so I want to do it in person. But with this shit and with just our lives being so different now, with him living in New York and me here, probably gonna have to do it on the phone soon. So he's in the queue. We will do a Corey episode.
Well, he's a legend. He's really smart, really funny. Did so many good bands, and I know in the past it's on our episode that we talked about Over My Dead Body and stuff. I was bummed when, like, I got socked in the face at their show and was just like, oh, fuck this. It doesn't mean I don't love and respect Corey. It was just, at the time, I was just like, dude, I'm up front representing for your band and you just socked me in the face. But that was the vibe of Piece by Piece. at the time. You know, it was a giant middle finger of a band. But I think he is an incredible player and an incredible member of so many bands, and has just not only beyond the bands that he's done and the music he's created, but the knowledge of TO hardcore and basically Southern California hardcore for a long period of time. He's a wealth of knowledge on that as well.
And that beautiful blue Les Paul.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
and great jumps.
Yeah, and Corey he got me my first like serious full-time job at Jettis, answering phones for a porn credit card company.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you for calling Jet Charge. My name is Zack. Is this regarding a charge under statement? Oh,
your husband must have made it, ma'am. Sorry.
Oh, I would love to tell you stories of that job if cancel culture wasn't so real.
Patreon pod.
You want to know the websites I had to tell people that moms that called and I had to tell them their sons joined. It made them cry on the phone. Sad.
I bet.
I know. Anyway, the legend Brandon Cruz hits me up saying, "What does this have to do with ska?" Well, this podcast has nothing to do with ska, but I do enjoy your brother Zorba's band, the Ska Daddies, from Silver Strand Beach, California. Much respect.
I would say
that don't even speak on it.
We've touched on Cinema Beer Goggles, so there's a almost ska element coming in if Beer Tay or Beer Buddies or whatever.
Shout out Mustard Plug. Chase Corum, OC hardcore legend. Shouts out with some good dudes he wants me to interview. And one of them being a San Diego stalwart, Justin Pearson. Daniel?
Yeah, I've been calling for that pod for ages because love him or hate him, because there's lots of dividing thoughts on the person. He's a legend and has done so much within punk and hardcore. And, you know, I've mentioned it on a pod in the past that half of Europe started dressing exactly like him just when he went through with Twin Kids or the first Locust tour. It's insane. Like, that person is an icon all unto himself and has vast amounts of San Diego punk and hardcore knowledge that needs to be tapped into for the pod.
Even though he shit on your head at Kinko's in 1994.
That can also be discussed.
All right. Carl Valdez from Ill Repute says, "What do you think will happen to the scene after all this is over?" I don't see this. Well, I mean, if this kills us all, then obviously the scene will be different. But we're still. It's only April 5th, and we're all of the mind that this is going to change life for a few months, and then we're all going to come out of it normal, right?
Will those robots from Boston Dynamic or whatever it's called, will they learn how to march just to fill that void?
I mean, everyone is of the mind that we're going to pull out of this right now, and that might be just us totally thinking of fantasy because we want to get back to normal.
Yeah.
So I don't. If this only affects us for a few months, it doesn't affect anything. Everything is normal. If this shuts it down for, like, there's some horror stories coming out that, like, oh, it'll die down in the summer, but then it'll, like, come back in fall.
Yeah.
If we have to, like, start thinking about, like, social distancing in general, then, like, that would be very weird for hardcore.
Yeah.
I think
live music in general.
Yeah, live music in general. I think you would see, you know, more people taking the approach of, I guess, trying to create like video content, you know, but who knows? Like, I'm not a big...
Do you know what? I got a really cool like DM today from Tad Payton. He's a hardcore enthusiast / tattooer from the DC area, and he sent me like a screenshot of a convo I think he was having with his best friend. It was like, imagine what shows are going to be like after this. 500 people pits. It's going to look like every Biohazard video. and
every show is going to take place on the bridge. And fucking Rick the Life and Izak are always going to be in the pit. It's going to be great.
I've got to tell you, maybe on a different pod or whatever, but I had a dream Thursday night that Izak was in. I don't know why, but he was in my dream.
Well, I hope that every show, when this all comes back, it's all on that bridge from the Biohazard video, and Izak and Rick the Life are in every hardcore pit, and everyone just comes back together. So
and Rick is on a horse in the pit.
Rick's on a horse in the pit, and it's a giant horse that also has his whole merch display on the horse's ass.
It's a Trojan horse that has all the merch inside it.
All right. The infamous Albert Moshard says, when are you going to interview Jason Bryce to get his side of leaving In Control with a note?
Oh, I love that question.
Yeah, so
I love that question.
The people don't know this story. Basically, one of the In Control bass players that we had, we were gonna play with Dead Kennedys this night at the Key Club in Hollywood. And it was Dead Kennedys when Brandon Cruz was singing. And we went to pick up our bass player to go to the show, and he left a note on his door saying, I quit the band. I'm going to this other show tonight. So
I can fill in for this person and just kind of guess what his reasoning was. And I bet you a lot of it is Zack is such a taskmaster and scares me.
Yeah, probably a lot of that. And so that's all. Anyway, that's
a good question, though.
That was. Thanks, Albert. We went to our bass player before that, Robert Martinez's house, and convinced him to play that night. So we literally just went and knocked on this dude's door and said, hey, I know you haven't been in the band for 6 months, but we need you to remember 8 songs. We're going to play a show. When? Oh, right now. We're on our way. Okay. And I think that he could only remember 6 songs. And so we went and we did a Ramones intro and then played 6 songs and then maybe a cover song, and that was it. But
what a legend Robert is for that.
I know. Rest in peace, Robert Martinez. It hasn't been the same without you. That's really sad. He died last year.
Yeah. R.I.P.
Yeah. Let's see who this is. X Dennis Lou X hit me up and just said, if they are archived anywhere, revisit the San Diego Hardcore and Chula Vista Hardcore message boards.
He is not lying.
Yeah,
that's back when you could have a screen name and your IP address didn't show up, and all kinds of chicanery went down on those boards. I'll tell you that.
I'll just say that if you smash that Patreon button, I'll give you Guzman and Vince's phone numbers, and you can call them and chat them up. They're behind all that shit, probably.
Don had probably 3 or 4 different screen names.
I'll give you Don's phone number too. So, but
there was also a time where Bert had been called out by this older skinhead who wasn't hanging around at the time as much anymore, and it was some real shit. You know, when you see internet drama and you're like, what is it? And then it's no, this is pointed and crazy, and it was happened on that board, and it was holy shit. He's I'm gonna come take your boots, you plastic gangster.
Bert got called out by White Warrior, huh?
No, I don't think he could use a computer. His hands would just smash the button.
He's got hoofs for hands.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to...
But yeah, that is a good point in time. That is very fun. And it was also really cool. It connected so many people who'd never met before that actually started talking to each other at shows because of the board, you know?
There you go. Good question, dude. Andy Diehard asks, is Ryan Fredette the best Nardcore frontman of all time?
In my eyes, yes, but I didn't see any of the legendary bands with just, you know, vocals. I saw all those bands as they were still doing it after all these years with maybe not as much interest as they once had.
Apparently, Andy Diehard never saw Retaliate, so...
Do
your homework, motherfucker!
But is Retaliate pure Oxnard, or is there members that are slightly outside the Oxnard bubble?
We're all from Nard. We all went to Nard High. Okay,
then you know, it must be Zack Retaliate at Instagram.com.
That's what's up. All right, the mighty mighty Adam Lentz, dude. His sub says, do an episode on the Ojai Women's Center. That would be a good episode.
Agreed. Yeah.
I think that would be a good episode. That's one of the ones we could speak on, right? And it probably has a long enough run like that, or the living room. But the Ojai would be one that like you and me could do, probably.
Yeah. So the thing with Ojai, and the thing that people, I think the 2000 to 2005 era of hardcore, like people are dipping back into it, pulling, you know, certain bands out of it and saying, you know, oh, this band was important. But people don't understand that if they weren't around at that time, the thing that made those times so special is pretty much the Che Cafe, the PCH, Ojai Women's Center was like almost like an underground railroad for a certain amount of bands that were all friends and were constantly on each shows with each other, and there was just such a rad vibe that culminated even more than at the Che. At Ojai was where the gathering of like everyone happened, and it just, people were there to have the best time, and people weren't there for beef or wouldn't even be distracted by it. It was kind of like, no, we got to keep this place going. It's such an amazing space to do bands that it transcended like what you'll see happen at hardcore shows often.
Well, and it was full, like, for the kids, by the kids. Like, there's literally no security. You know what I mean?
No security, and the stage was an amazing height. There was just everything about it was perfect, except for it was a freaking million miles away.
Yeah, I mean, even from Nard, just taking that drive. Anyway, lots of memories. That's a great idea. We should do that pod at some point. Let's see what's next. Oh, Bedge. Shout out Bedge. He wants us to do some record label deep dives, and he says Mystic, BYO, Rev, Epitaph, etc. I
feel like this podcast in general is a Mystic deep dive.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do this. So the Mystic discography is a little wild, but I will say that coming up in a few weeks is going to be the Philco Raves episode, and he was the engineer at Mystic, and I nerd out on him way too hard. Ask him to go.
You ask him about the echo.
Oh, he explains the echo, dude. that does not go. He volunteers info on the echo. So
nice.
Yeah, but I would love to do some of these deep dives. That'd be really fun. And I'd love to go into bands too. I think that, you know, I think, I won't say it. But anyway,
discography deep dives over like 2 episodes would be very good. I feel like, you know, especially some of the labels that you feel like didn't have necessarily like a massive drop off, you know?
Yeah, Camel Clutch. All right.
strong.
Tzak18 says, please interview Doug Moody.
Well, there's your Mystic deep dive that is desired.
Like I haven't been trying since day one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, obviously. I've been trying to get Doug. I've been trying every angle. Trust me.
Maybe I need to call him Englishman to Englishman.
Maybe that's the one angle I haven't tried. No, but I've had multiple people try to contact him. I've talked to him several times. He hasn't wanted to do it. But no, I'm gonna hopefully get him on because obviously this pod is worthless without the Doug Moody interview. That's been the whole goal of the podcast. So like it would be a dismal failure if Doug Moody dies before I get him on.
Well, it's not worthless without him. I'll tell you that.
No, but this is like, it really is like, it's the white whale. If I don't get him, I'll feel like it's a personal failure. So I hope that anyone that has any influence of them tells them to come on. The people I interview for this podcast, I'm not setting anyone up with gotcha questions. I'm not trying to make anyone feel uncomfortable. I'm setting everyone up to succeed. And he would be no different. And I don't give a fuck what people think of him. His story is interesting as fuck. I mean, like, he just comes from, he comes up from 3 generations of music dudes. So you're talking about, like, going back to basically the beginning of recorded music in his family. And just the stuff he talks about is wild. And I don't care if it's 100% true or not. I've gotten to talk to Doug on the phone a bunch of times. And he's just a very interesting guy. And even the people that hate him, they've had the pleasure or the displeasure of talking to him a bunch of times. They would all have to admit how much of a character he is. And I just hope that I can create a platform that everyone knows what it's like to talk to Doug Moody. He's fucking, if nothing else, he's a character. He is who he is. And I respect that. Like, I'm not trying to judge people. I'm not trying to, like, catch people up. I just want people to represent who they are. And Doug Moody is Doug Moody. And he's just a very, very interesting guy with a very interesting history. And I want to get him on. So,
it's definitely, you're not trying to do gotcha journalism just to be like, where were you on this?
Yeah. Yeah. No, so of course we'd love to have him. Let's see what else. Oh, Adam Hanlon jumping on the Albert Moshard thing, or Paul deciding he's already been to Europe and doesn't care to go again. Well, that's the In Control breakup story, actually. So yeah, I don't have any desire to interview Paul. Like, nice guy, but like basically the reason why I stopped doing music when I was the age 24 is because I was sick of like the animosity that would come from like hating my band members. And it's like, that's such a weird thing, right? Like when you're in a band with someone and you fucking hate them for some reason, or like they leave and you hate them. And it's like, that's not a feeling I want to have in my life. So is there even something wrong with them, or is there something wrong with me and I need to change my life? And that's what I chose at that time, is like, I'm not going to do a full-time band like ever again. I don't like the way that I look at people. I don't like the fact that like someone can make one little decision that like doesn't affect their life and it affects my whole life, and then I fucking hate them. Like, that's just not the way I want to live. And so, I made the decision to like basically break up that band and to not live my life like that anymore, because like in my opinion, that was a very selfish decision. And to tell the story, basically in Control, we were going to go to Europe, tour Europe, do a record on Reflections, and like basically the day before we bought our airline tickets, our drummer quit, and he was just like, I don't want to go to Europe, like I already went as a tourist, I don't care to go. And then we were just like, what? Like, it was very hard to find a drummer at the point, and we couldn't replace him, and I didn't want to like drag it out and try to find a drummer and fuck over the label. So I basically just canceled everything and decided to break up the band. So it is what it is. But as far as like his take on it, like he gave his take. He quit the band. I know that was a silly question, Adam, but it's still like that's pretty weird that 16 years later, like it still gets to me because like
I've been lucky enough to not really hate anyone I've been in a band with. Like I've only had good friendships, but the breakup in Northern Towns was kind of a bummer to me because our guitar player was in Mrs. Magician, and they started doing a lot more, and he wanted to concentrate on that. And I feel like we were just hitting our stride. You know, we're about to do an LP, and I was a bit bummed after it and a bit salty, but then I couldn't stay mad. He was my friend, you know. But it's hard when you're all pieces of a puzzle that one person's not pulling their weight or doesn't care, and then it can only let animosity grow, you know?
yeah, it's just not a positive way to live. And so that's why, you know, we give so much respect, I think, on this podcast to the bands that have like long, like, or I just say a longevity.
Yeah.
Because it really does take so much like fortitude to be able to power through all the bullshit. Joel Perkins asks, how high is the sky? I would say pretty high, dude. And finally, we end on Hello Sarah. She says, talk with total resistance. It seems like Jacob remembers every date, every person, every show, everything about everyone in the nerdcore scene. And I will say, I love Jacob. He's one of my favorite people on earth. And I would love him to be on the podcast anytime he would like to be. So thank you for that. Hello, Sarah. I think that was a great suggestion.
Maybe Jacob is the key to getting the Doug Moody interview.
Maybe Jacob can do it. Jacob, can you call Doug Moody and get him on the pod, please? That would be awesome. And let me just do one quick little check. Do you want to talk about anything, Daniel?
No, just hope everyone that listens to this on the regular and sends nice thoughts down the pipeline. And there's a rad like t-shirt, little Instagram t-shirt company type thing. God, I don't know how to describe it. But Tees from the Hard Side, he like dropped me a DM today because I ordered the Gangstar long sleeve that he made. It's like a bootleg tee thing, and he dropped a DM saying that he loves listening to the pod and whatnot. So it's nice to hear things when people are enjoying it. Hearing back from people, obviously it's that thing, but even if they, say, "Oh, I listened on this episode," and it's just rad to hear that like people are appreciating this, because I'm a fan first rather than a participant. I love this podcast, so.
Well, thank you, Dan.
I hope
I love you, and we just got a few more. Sorry, last minute ones. Interview Alex, who ran the PCH. That'd be a great one.
Oh, that's a must. That is a must.
Yeah, we should do the PCH. Maybe we do it like a PCH Ojai split.
But Alex
episode.
in general, because he like goes back in hardcore too, so he can just talk about going to shows and then doing the PCH from there, because Rob remembers him from when Rob first started going to hardcore shows. So, a long time ago, dinosaur time.
Also, let's see. That was from Jason, JX Son. Danny the Alchemist says, interview Dr. No 2020. I've done Brandon Cruz, I've done Ismael Hernandez, and I've done Larry White. I'm going to do Kyle soon. We were figuring out a time for me to go to his house to interview him. But then the COVID-19 plague hit us. So we'll see if Kyle wants to do it on the phone. If he does, I'll do it on the phone. If not, we'll wait until hopefully this shit passes. or we'll see. But if you want to hear the other sides of Dr. No, go listen to the archives. Chubby Demon says interview civil conflict 805, and there was another one. Josiel interview all of civil conflict, AK Danny, Dorian, and David. And I will say that we've had David on the pod. He was on, I think, the first episode of Talking Nardcore, and we love civil conflict. They are the torchbearers of the new generation of Nardcore, and we appreciate them very much. They are doing everything they can to keep the scene going, along with all the other generations. And so, much respect to civil conflict. Much respect to all the new kids out there. Let's get Operation Oxnard back together, and let's do this shit. But that's it for that. So, Daniel, closing comments. You already gave your closing comments. That was really good. But
I appreciate you involving me in this. So both of us who live alone can spend some positive time doing something while we're going crazy.
Yeah, agreed. And I hope that you guys that are listening to this enjoy the bonus pod. Be sure, if you can help out, smash that Patreon button. We do more pods on there. And then also, so that's patreon.com/185 miles south. And then also, if you've enjoyed this episode, you have to reach out and let us know, because if you don't tell us, we won't do another one. So if you enjoyed this, hit me up on social media or hit up Daniel, and we can do this as much as you want. Fuck it. So hit us up if you have questions. 185 miles south at gmail.com. 185 miles south on Instagram, on Facebook. I ain't hard to find, like Little Boozy said, right? So what's up?
Also, go to @Mr. Gweggers on Instagram and watch his version of the the Decline teaching you how to slam, or another state of mind teaching you how to slam video. It's very funny.
Yeah, Gregor's handle that shit. All right, Daniel, here, talk us out. Can you hear that?
I hope everyone's staying safe. I hope everyone is putting their mental fortitude towards something positive during these times. Don't be negative.
Thanks, guys.